Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can use cloudinary to upload images. By the end of the video, you're going to understand how cloudinary works on the client side, as well as how to use Tailwind and Daisy UI to give your users a great experience. In the last video, I showed you how to make an image gallery using cloudinary and Daisy UI. This is a follow-on, although you don't have to have watched the previous video, you can just look for the GitHub in the description. That will get you started at the same point as if you had watched the video. Now, by the end of the video, you're going to understand how to set up cloudinary in their dashboard, as well as how to use Tailwind and Daisy UI. I want to give a big shout out to cloudinary who did comment on the last video, and if you want to get featured on screen in the intro, all you have to do is leave me a comment about what you enjoyed about the last video. So before we get started, here's a bit of B-roll to show you what it's going to look like, and then I'll meet you in Visual Studio Code. So here's a quick reminder of how this all sort of works. So we have this image gallery that you can navigate through, and we're using a dark theme, and we have this nice little box around it, and as you scroll left and right, it shows different images that slide across the screen. So now we're kind of familiar with how that works, and you can look through the code if you didn't write the app originally. So what we need to do is add a new page. We can say new page here, and we'll say upload.js. And this is where we're going to be handling all of our code going forward. So I have the terminal running, so we're going to use this as we go along. So we'll do export default function upload, and then we'll do a quick return. And inside of that, we'll just have a single div. So now we hit save. If we go to that page /upload, we'll just have this nice blank canvas for us to start working on. So we need to import both head from Next.js and our navbar, which comes from /components/navbar. So now we have these two items, we can start building out the page the way it's supposed to look. So inside of this return, we're going to change it to a set of parentheses, and we're going to say div. And this div is going to have a class name. And the class name is going to contain all our classes. So we're going to have a flex class, a flex column. Items are going to be centered, justified in the center, min height set to the screen, and then padding of 2 on the top. And when we hit save, nothing will change, but now we can do an Alt-Z, and now we can just see inside of here. So I use the Alt-Z command, which allows you to wrap all of the words on the screen. So if you're ever working side by side, if you just hit Alt-Z, it will allow you to essentially keep everything on the visual screen instead of going all the way off to the right. So now we have that. We're going to have a head. And inside of this head, we're just going to have a title, and we're going to call this cloudinary gallery app, and then we'll say uploader, and then we'll hit save, and then underneath that we need our navbar, so we can just say navbar, and when we do that, you see that the navbar appears in the middle of the screen, which is not ideal. So then we're going to need a main class, and this main class is going to hold the contents of this page. So we can say flex column, items in the center, justify center. We need the width to be a full length. We want flex of 1, pixels 20, and text in the center. And then we'll hit save. And now you'll see the image gallery now lives at the top of the screen, which is exactly where we want it to be. So now we can start building out the upload section. So the way that upload section is going to work is it's going to be a box, and inside of that box, there's going to be a button that says select a file. They click that and it opens the file explorer on their machine, and they can only upload images. but we'll get more into that in a second. So let's build out the UI. So we're going to have a div in here, and we'll give it a class name, and we'll say flex, width of full, items in the center, justify center, and margin on the top of 4. And as you can see, nothing has really changed on this screen. Then we're going to create something called a label. And inside that label, we're going to have a class name as well. And we're going to set the width to 64. We're going to have flex as columns. Items should always be in the center. Padding on the X of 4. Padding on the Y of 6. Rounded, we'll set that to large. So we'll have a nice curved edges. Then we'll have a shadow of large. So we have a little bit of a shadow. Tracking is going to be set to wide. We're going to have uppercase fonts, border, and we'll have a border color of blue. We'll have a cursor here, and we'll set that to a pointer. So when someone hovers over it, it looks like a cursor. Then when they hover, we'll set the background to blue and the hover text to white. And then if we hit save, now you can see we have this little box. And when I hover over it, there's a slight change, not very much, very subtle, but we do have something. Then we need an SVG. So we're going to use the SVG element here. And we're going to set a few things in here. So we need a class name, and we'll set that equal to W of 8 and a height of 8. And now if we hit save, it's kind of reshaped this slightly. We're going to have a fill, and that's going to fill the SVG to the current color. So we'll do current color. We hit save. Then we just need to set some settings. So we need XMLNS to point to www.w3.org/2000/SVG to tell it it's an SVG. And then we need something called viewbox. And the viewbox is going to be set equal to 002020. And that's just going to tell what the viewbox should look like. I'm then going to copy in the path, which will be available in the GitHub. And that's just the data element. So this essentially tells the HTML what to look for and what it should look like. So when I hit save, you'll notice there's now this upload cloud, and it changes slightly when we hover and when we're not. So it looks a bit better now. So now we kind of have a little uploader button. Now we need to do a span here. So we're going to do span. We'll give that a class name as well. And in the class name here, we're going to have a margin of 2 on the top. The text is going to be base, and the leading is going to be normal. When we do that, we now get a file as the name. And now we have this nice little thing that looks like something someone wants to click on. When they click it, nothing really happens right now. And that's because we don't have what's called the input file. And that's what we're going to work on now. So still inside of this label, underneath the span, you're going to create an input element. And we're going to give it a type equal to file. We're then going to accept. And what accept does is tell it what kind of files we are allowing the user to upload. So we're only going to allow images. And the way to do that is to type the word image and a slash and then star. So we're allowing them to upload any kind of image format. Then we need to give it a class name. So we're going to give this class name hidden. And the reason we're doing that is because we don't actually want to show the input, even though we want to use it. And now if we hit save, we need to just close this out first and then hit save. When we click this now, it opens up and it allows us to choose any image. So I can select this thumbnail, but nothing happens. So we don't see anything here. We don't know if the image successfully is here. And what will happen is it will store it in local storage until you do something with it. But we actually need to do something with our file. So what we're going to do is create a file change handler. And the way this is going to work is above our return statement, we're going to create a const called file change handler. and we're going to say equal to event. And then that's all we're going to do. Then we're going to take this file change handler and go back down to this input and say on change equal to file change handler. So now anytime this file gets changed, it will fire this file change handler. So now what we can do is do whatever we want with these target files. So what we could do for the beginning is say console.log event target.files. And because we're only allowing them to upload one, we can put a 0 here and then hit save. And what I can do now is say select a file and let's say thumbnail, no words. It's uploaded, but we don't actually know what it's doing. So now if I go to our console here and zoom in a bit, you can see that this file has been uploaded. And if we click it, it gives us the name, the size, the type, when it was last modified. So it essentially has everything we could possibly need to actually upload this to Cloudinary. So let's go ahead and close this console log. And then let's start working on this. So the first thing that we actually want to do is set the image to our target, but we also want to be able to read the file. So to do that, you can do something called const reader equal to new file reader. So this new file reader essentially lets web applications asynchronously read the contents of a file stored on the user's computer using file or blob objects to specify the file or what needs to be read. So then what we could do is say reader.onload. We can say function onload event. So we know this is going to be an onload event. We can set this image to something, but we don't have anywhere to save this image yet in state. So we need to import useState from React, and then we can use useState to handle it. So underneath here, we're going to create a const, and we're going to say image and set image, and then useState is null. And now we can actually go in here and say set image to onload event target.result. And hit save. So now we have this sort of set image on the target result. And we need to do one more thing, which is say reader.read as data URL. So we want to read this as a URL, event target.files, and we want that first one in the thing. So now what we're doing, before we continue on, we can actually remove this and hit save. So what we're saying here is go ahead and open this file. So we want to be able to read this file, onload, set the image to the result of the reading. And we're going to set it to this image here so we have access to it. And then we're also going to have this reader read this as a URL. So basically it makes a blob of this event. So we're going to instantiate. So we're going to read it. And then on load, we're going to set it to that image. So now we have a way to sort of handle on change handlers. So if I click this now and I select W20 2020, it's going to set this image here to that image. So what we could do now is actually display this to the user. So we can come down here and say image and then 2 ampersands. So that says if this is true, we should do something. So we're going to say image source equal to the image. And then alt will be uploaded image. And then we'll set a width to 500 and the height to 250 pixels. And then when we close this out and hit save, what should happen is because we have a file uploaded, it should show an image. And there we go. So now we have Next powered image gallery. And if I select a different file and say no words, it changes and the words disappear. So we're kind of almost there. But what we also want to do is handle when someone has this image, we want to show some buttons so that they can essentially say, yes, I want to upload, or no, I don't. So underneath your label here, we want to have a new condition here as well. It says, if there's an image, and then the 2 ampersand again, we're going to return something in here. And we're going to say div class name equal to flex. Width should be full. Items in the center. Justify in the center. And the margin at the top of 4. And then we can just have 2 buttons. We can have a button number 1. And we'll give it a class name equal to button wide. Button is going to be large. Button should be a primary color. And we'll just add margin on an x-axis of 2, and we'll say upload. Now we have an upload button. We can copy this, and instead of being a primary button, we can just have this as a secondary button. So we can change this to secondary, and we'll say cancel, and hit save. So now we have an upload button or a cancel button. But now we have a bigger problem. This is now here. But we don't want this to be here if they've uploaded the image. So what we can actually do for that is we can wrap our div here in a condition that says if there's no image, we can return this. So here we can say no image, and then the 2 ampersands just as you have before, and then we can wrap this all the way down to this div and say, okay, we want the return, and then we want the condition. And if we hit save now, it's gone. So now we're in a spot where essentially we have the ability to upload. And we have the ability to click this button and something should happen. Right now, nothing happens, but we're very close to having what we want. So first, let's basically fix this cancel button so that it works so we can change the image if we want. So what we can do here is say on click, and then the on click is going to equal an empty parameter and an arrow, and then set image to null. And that will nullify the image and get rid of it. And if we hit save now, hit this cancel button, it's now gone. And if we select an image again and say thumbnail, it's here. So now we have basically everything set up for cloudinary to work as we expected. The next part is we need to set cloudinary up on the dashboard to allow users to upload images from the client. So let's do that. So here we are in the cloudinary dashboard. You've probably seen this before, but if you haven't, here is all your cloudinary keys that you'll need for this example. We're going to click this settings button at the top, and then we're going to go to upload, and we're going to scroll all the way down to something called upload presets. And you'll see I have unsigned uploading enabled. So you want to be able to enable that feature. Then you're going to click this add upload presets button. So click that. And it's going to give you a preset name. So you need to set this to something that you will recognize. So like upload underscore image gallery, or in my case, it's set to just image underscore gallery. Then you're going to set this to unsigned. And we're going to set this to the folder that you're using for your image gallery. So in our question, it's image space gallery. And then you want to scroll down, and that is everything you need. And then you're going to hit save. And what you should see if you hit save, which I've already done, you should see something that looks like this. Unassigned uploading enabled. The name is image gallery. It's in unsigned mode. Unique file name is set to true. So it will automatically override if you have the same image again. Access mode is public, and folder is image space gallery. So that's everything set up in Cloudinary. We can go back to our code now and start using this to upload our images. Okay, so we're back in the code. We are still in the same spot we were before, but first we need to do a const here. I'm going to set this to cloudinary underscore name. And inside of your .env local, in the sample I'll show you, you're going to do next underscore public underscore cloud underscore name and set that equal to the same thing as your cloudinary cloud name. So once you've done that, you just add that in. So process.env.next underscore public underscore cloud underscore name. That's going to contain everything that we need to use this in our file change handler. When we click the upload button, we want to be able to do an upload handler that will essentially send it to that cloudinary name. So let's hit save here. And then you will need to restart your server. So if your server is up and running, you need to hit Control-C and then go ahead and hit yarn dev, and that will allow you to do that. So now we have our cloudinary name. We can start working on our upload handler. So we're going to do a const here called upload handler, and that's going to be an asynchronous function. And inside of here is where we're going to do our upload handling. So we can actually take this and we can drop it in for our button here. So our button is just going to say on click equal to upload handler, and hit save. And now we have the ability to use this whenever we click this button. So when you click select a file and then you select, say, this thumbnail, when you click upload, something will happen. So let's start working on our upload handler. So what our upload handler is going to do is going to take the form and essentially upload it to Cloudinary. So we need to create something called form data. So to do that, you can do a const here and we'll just say form data. And we're going to set that equal to new form data. And now you have this form that essentially allows you to send something encoded to a URL. But we need to do two things. We need to add in the image, and we also add in our upload preset. So to do that, you do form data.append, and then we're going to append a file. And that file is going to be the image which we're tracking in this state. Then on top of that, we're going to do form data.append, and then we're going to append upload underscore preset, comma image underscore gallery. And those should also be in as a string. So now we have the form data. Now we can actually send this to Cloudinary and say, hey, here's a new upload for you. Go ahead and add this to our account. So to do that, we can do const data equals await fetch. And then we need the URL. So we're going to do backticks here because we're going to pass in the Cloudinary name. So it's https://api.cloudinary.com/v1_1/ and then we're going to put $ parentheses and cloudinary underscore name, which is our cloudinary name here. Then /image/upload. So this tells it that that's where we want to go. And then we need to do a post here. So you do a comma and open another set of parentheses and say method post, comma, body form data. So now we have that. We can then close the fetch out and say dot, then res, so for response, an arrow, and then say response.json. And then we could say if, so at this point, we'll have a response. And we can say if data.secure underscore URL. So if there's a secure URL, which is returned from Cloudinary, we can say alert, upload successful. And then we can set the image back to null so they can upload another one if they want. Or console.assert and we'll say data.secure underscore URL, comma, error. We did not upload an image. And then we hit save. So we have an error here, and the reason is that this parentheses is there, so just go ahead and close out. And now we have everything we need. So I want to talk about this console assert, because you may not have seen this before when you've been watching YouTube videos. So console assert says, if this is false, we should throw this error message. So essentially what it does is it looks to see if this is true, and if it is true, this will never actually be logged out. So this is a good way to do it. So we have this, like, this is the happy path, right? If it gets an upload secure URL, it means the upload was successful. We have something that's been uploaded to Cloudinary. Otherwise, do this. So instead of doing an else statement here, or if no data.secure URL, and then like a console.log error, we can do that in one line, and we only have to worry if it's not true. So this will fire if we have a successful upload, and this will fire if it doesn't. So I'm going to hit save here, and then I'm going to clear this out, and we're going to test to see if our app works. So I'm going to click select a file, and I'm going to select this image, and I'm going to click upload, and we got upload successful. So that works as intended, and now we know that this won't fire. So if we go to F12, and we look here in our console, and we do another one, let's say this one, and click upload, we get upload successful, and that console log was not fired. So now we have a successful way to upload. The problem now is this doesn't work. And also when we go to the home page, we don't have any new images. There's still the old images from before. So the problem we have now is the only images that are showing are the old ones and not the new ones. So first, let's go ahead and fix that. So we can come down to this return statement here in our getStaticProps, which is in the index.js, and put a comma and say revalidate 10, for example, and then hit save. And now this will get revalidated every 10 seconds. So if we deploy this out, if we upload a new image, it will show. So the final piece to our puzzle is to fix this navbar so it actually works. So if we go to our navbar here, right now, if I close out this, right now we just have some A classes that go to our home. So what we can do is do this for next link. So we can do import link from next underscore link, and then use next link instead. So inside of our buttons here, let's just press Alt-Z so you can see we have an A here and an A here. So we can wrap this by saying link, href, and then where it should go. So for this one, the href should just equal slash, and we'll close this out, and then we'll take this wrapped around here. And then we'll do the same here and say link, href equals slash upload, and we'll close that out, and then we'll wrap our button here and hit save. And now we should be able to click upload, and it should take us to the upload page. And if we click home, it should take us to the home page. So now if we click the upload button, it should take us to upload. And if we click home, it should take us back to the home page. And there's the image we uploaded originally. So we got all our images there, and we are good to go. So now you have a fully fledged working image uploader that you can use with your Cloudinary image gallery so that you in the future can share this with your friends. So there you have it, guys, an image upload gallery. It allows you to upload and view images via Cloudinary. One thing you might want to do to improve this application is to add some sort of authentication that doesn't allow the user to click the upload button unless they're authenticated, therefore giving you a bit more security, because currently anyone can upload images. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to drop it a like, Make sure to comment on more things you'd like to see. And of course, make sure you're subscribed because we're growing this channel in 2022. So until next time, see ya.